It's a rather simple equation. Soul plus groove equals Danielle Ponder and the Tomorrow People. The local group has performed throughout Europe and around the U.S., winning over audiences and the Best Local Band Award from the 2015 Rock Awards. But the meaning behind the songs, written by Rochester native and vocalist for the band, Danielle Ponder, are anything but simple and surface level. It was the online music source Soul Tracks that called Ponder's vocals a combination of the spirit of the church with the speak truth to power assertiveness of a movement leader. Joining me now to share more about her story, her band, and the influence of her work as a public defender on her music is Danielle Ponder of Danielle Ponder and the Tomorrow People. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I have to be honest with you, there's been a lot of excitement and anticipation around WXXI this week when they found out that you were coming. People said, Danielle Ponder, I can't wait to see her. And it's true, your voice blows people away, your stage presence blows people away, and also your career story is so intriguing. You live this life of a vocalist, music producer, singer-songwriter, and then also a criminal defense attorney.
Yes.
So how does a public defender simultaneously live the life of a singer-songwriter? How did it evolve?
You know what? I've always been I've been singing and performing for about 10 years. So actually the public defender part came later. But I always was involved in the activist community. Before I was a public defender, I was a community organizing, and I really went to law school because I was really interested in criminal justice and criminal justice policy reform. So I never thought I couldn't do both. You know, singing is just something I do. It's just like breathing. It's gonna happen whether I'm a doctor or whether I'm whatever. It's just, I'm gonna do it. But I also really believe in not just singing about injustices, but for me, I also have to work and you know, work in the community, and being a public defender is one of those ways that I get to do that. So
that's how these two hats that you wear kind of intersect.
Yes.
So has there ever been a case that you've worked on or a story that's really touched your heart that's found its way into one of your songs?
So I have a song called Criminalized that it's not a specific story, but it really is the experience of a lot of my young clients, male clients of color. So the song is dedicated to young black boys and their interactions with the police and the community. And it's something I see every day in my job, whether it's kids who are riding their bike in the city and they're stopped because they don't have a bell on their bike, which we all know is not happening in East Avenue and Park Avenue. I don't even have a bell on my bike, but, or, you know, I had a client last year who was stopped because he failed to use the sidewalk. So these types of basically racial profiling that I see in court, that was something I decided to write about in the song Criminalized. So that's one song where there's a connection that's been made, yes.
Well, we have a clip of your video for this song, We Live, so viewers can check it out.
Awesome.
We'll watch right now.
How you let me sneak up on you like that? We're talking revolution. Oh yeah, but all those folks ignore. Said it ain't gonna be so funny. Oh yeah, and we knocking on your front door. Come on. We live hand in mouth. We live fighting, crawling. We hold truth and love, and we live hope and praying. We live hand in mouth. We live fighting, crawling. We hold truth and love.
So one line of We Live reads, one day we're going to rise up, children of the sun unite, speaking truth to power, sure we're going to put up a hell of a fight. And this is a song about surviving through struggles.
yeah.
And recently, I Need to Know, we had a discussion with area filmmakers, and we talked about the power of documentaries and the ways in which some nonfiction films can really be used as a tool for change and a tool for social justice. When I hear songs like We Live, Criminalize, I can't help but wonder if the same can be true for music.
Yes, absolutely. I think that to me, the stage is a sacred place and it's a healing space. Not only healing myself, but hoping to heal people in the audience. And We Live is really dedicated to the Black community. I think there's other people who can take that message and there's a lesson from that message. But when I initially wrote it, it was really to encourage us that, we are still here, we're still surviving. So as long as we are still alive, there's still the ability to overcome the things that we face in our community. And I think, racism is something that is painful and it's something that's hurtful, and I think people don't understand that. And so to be able to sing about it is a therapy. It's a therapy for myself. It's a therapy for many people of color in the audience, just like singing, about a breakup. So definitely music can be very healing and restorative for people.
How do you decide which issues of the day? Because there are a number of issues when it comes to inequality in our society. How do you decide the ones to tackle through music?
I don't think I sit and, think about it that, I don't sit and think of all the issues and say, what am I gonna write about? I really believe that songs just come to you. Sometimes it is an experience. I wrote a song recently called Something Funky. And
Something Funky.
I wrote this song because I'm noticing and I'm appreciating what I will call as people defying gender norms. So I have friends on my Facebook page who are men who wear makeup or wear skirts, or they're girls, or they're part of the LGBT community, or whatever it might be. And the more I see that, the more I think we're being taught a lesson in personal liberation, right? I think the trans movement is teaching everyone something about personal liberation. And if we get so caught up into judging people, we're not getting the lessons for ourselves. And for me, that lesson is, if this person can face so many adversities by coming out as trans or transitioning, and still say, this is what I'm gonna wear and this is what I'm gonna do, then I can get my life together and I can do what I wanna do and I can feel free. So that song, Something Funky, was inspired just thinking about that one day, how powerful and fearless people in the trans community are. And that's what we need to take away. That's what we should take away as people, is to be fearless and to be powerful.
Well, you're the child of a preacher. So I'm curious as to whether that PK title, Preacher's Kid label, influences your music at all, influences your performances at all, because you clearly know how to own the stage.
Yeah. I think it does. I would probably have not admitted it before because, I was always like, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to be a gospel singer, never. And then I get on stage and I'm literally in church. Yeah. So my mom has basically said to me, you're a preacher. But definitely seeing my father get on stage, get in the pulpit, and pretty much tell a story and move people. And my mom also preaches as well. So to have both parents on stage moving people through their message, that is, I inherited that definitely from my parents. So I have to thank the church for giving me that ability to connect. And that's where I was introduced to passion, was in the church as a young girl. When you see people shouting and you see them running around the building and you see your father in the pulpit jumping back and forth, that was passion and that was a connection to God. So.
Well, Danielle Ponder, attorney and singer-songwriter, thank you for joining me today. Danielle Ponder and the Tomorrow People are performing at the Little Theater on Friday, September 9th at 8 p.m. for the Little Theater Concert Series. Doors open at 7 and tickets are on sale right now. Just go to thelittle.org.